Welcome to the Kit Room, everybody. I'm Neil, and I'm here with James once again.
Hi, everyone.
And today we'll be looking through the Wolves game, the stats, the facts, man of the matches, the red card. So let's jump straight into it. So, James, we played the game on yesterday. How did you think it went?
I think it was all right. It was what I expected from Wolves. Defensively, they're very, very good. Willy Bolly at the bank's always been strong for me. So I thought they played quite well. I was a bit disappointed that we couldn't break them down. I know during the transfer window, a lot of our fans say we need a winger, but last night kind of proves to me that we do need a winger. Wolves have got wingers in abundance, whereas we've got wingers that don't turn up every week. Perez again seemed to not be there at all. I thought Barnes played quite well, but then he was drifting in and out of the game. He was doing some really good stuff down that wing with Chilwell helping him, and then other times he didn't seem to be there. And Vardy again had minimal touches, which I thought was a bit disappointing. But I think we were trying to use the counter-attack option there, but it's difficult to counter when Vardy's probably a bit low on confidence. I don't know what are your views on the game.
Overall, coming back to the wingers point, I think Perez isn't an out-and-out winger. Barnes is, who's going for the overlap. He's trying to. Perez looks lost in that position when he gets the ball, and he's not got the pace to get past players. He's not got the skill like a Mahrez to take a player on and beat them. His positioning needs to be behind Vardy or alongside Vardy, so he's supporting in that position. But he's playing out of position, so I feel like it's not quite working for him. The only time it does work is when him and Ricardo's bombing on the overlap. He's got the pace and he can slip a ball through to him, or he can decide to play it towards the middle. Perez is better there. So when he gets the ball out on the wing, I'm just not sure he knows the best position. I think Barnes is starting to really come into his own. I agree, we do need another winger, almost like a Mahrez type, to be able to beat a player, get past them, and just kind of keep the game moving, because that's where, look at, for example, Wolves, they had Traore, somebody that could get past the player, that brings the confidence, brings the crowd really into play, the crowd, and just drives forward. Overall, I think it was, again, okay performance. I think we'll touch on the defense later, but defensively, we were very good. Even players like Chilwell, I think, had a not too bad game, considering the team really didn't turn up too much. Again, when you're down to Vardy, he does look low on confidence. Every touch he gets, he was making silly mistakes. He was not quite putting the ball out wide at times.
Yeah.
And again, that's just going to come with time. Yes. I was surprised they didn't take him off and put Nacho on, especially with the run of form he is. But again, at the end of the game, I think we, after the red card, which we'll come on to in a bit as well, we just need to see out that game to a 0-0. And if you look at Rodgers' post-match conference, you see that he was more than happy to take that 0-0, because Wolves are a decent team, and I think a lot of us coming into this from the Leicester fan channel just wanted a draw, and we would have been more than happy, because they are on a real rich run of forms. Bearing in mind, that place has beaten Man City this season. It's beaten some other good teams, even though Wolves aren't on the best run of form. I think it's a deserved result, even though I do think Wolves were definitely the better side. So, shall we jump straight into the stats?
Yeah, let's have a look at them. 0-0. Let's have a quick look at the stats. Wolves had 15 shots to our 9. Both had 3 shots on target. Probably why it was 0-0. They had 42% possession to our 58% possession. Probably first half it was a lot more than that, because I thought we played quite well in the first half. Pass completion rate, they had 74% as we had 84%. Quite surprising we didn't have one corner, but they had 7 corners. So what did you think to them stats?
Their pass completion, even though it was less, this is where statistics kind of lie. Our 84% was between Soyuncu to Evans, to Soyuncu to Evans to Ricardo, back to Soyuncu to Evans. So we didn't really have, even though we had 84% pass completion, we didn't do anything with it. If you look at the number of clear-cut chances that we had overall in the game, they were minimal. I wouldn't say there was a zero clear-cut chances in that entire game. Wolves, on the other hand, had at least, I would say, 5. With Jimenez on another day with more confidence, and it just wasn't his day, but they could have won that game easily 2-0, 3-0 with a disallowed goal, which we'll come on to in a bit as well. But overall, yeah, I think the statistics kind of summed up the game quite well. We had some better stats. They had some just as good stats. But Wolves, I do think, would have won that in another game without VAR. And we didn't really look like we were going to threaten to really attack them and hurt their keeper or defense, their defense really. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think as far as the Wolves' chances were with Jimenez, one thing I was surprised about was when Schmeichel gave Jimenez the ball on the edge of the area. You kind of expect someone like him to just destroy us and bury it, but it went miles wide, which I was obviously quite thankful for. But yeah, their chances had quite a few clear-cut headers, which I think on a different day would probably gone into the top corner. Twice he didn't head the ball right. If you head the ball right, it probably goes in. But our three on target, I think one of them was a deflection.
Yep. One that was Tielemans just going, I'll have a go from here.
Yeah. So nothing, like you just said, no real clear-cut chances for us that I thought we should have scored. Whereas they probably had 3 or 4 that should have probably scored. But that's how football goes. Scored once, VAR rightly ruled it offside. If VAR wasn't again, no one in the world would have called that. Linesman was standing next to him and he didn't even call it. I don't think anyone would. So we don't want to go on a VAR rant because we know our views on it. It seems to be ruining the Premier League. Doesn't seem like football anymore, which is what all the fans chant. I just want it to be seen to be used the same as it was in the World Cup. If it's a decision, let the ref go over to the monitor, look at what's happening on the screen, make his own decision. The ref's in control of the game, not someone miles and miles away, which last night happened. They disallowed the goal, and at half-time, the Wolves captain is saying to Mike Dean, why was that disallowed? And Mike Dean didn't know. All he was saying was, I've been told in my ear that it's been disallowed. How is that football?
Yeah, that's not on, definitely. But without getting into VAR rant, as you've just started to go into there, so I'll cut you off. Yeah, just back to Leicester. We didn't lose. Now, sometimes under Club Puel, we definitely would have lost that game because the heads would have dropped. And we didn't quite find a rhythm to play football. Tielemans wasn't on it. Maddison wasn't really on it. Them two players dictate a lot of how we play as well. And if we can't win, we're away from home on a not great night. Wolves is a hard place to go. We said before, we haven't lost. We've got a clean sheet. That's a win in my books. I think Wolves will definitely be more disappointed than we are. But overall, yeah, I think defensively, we need to give a shout out to Soyuncu and especially Johnny Evans. His experience in this match really showed against a really top quality attacking team. His positioning awareness was spot on, and it's something that will go overlooked because people like Maddison with their tricky turns and their ability to get past a player will always make the headlines. But when they don't turn up like today, Evans and Soyuncu were a rock. And if you compare Soyuncu to this time last year, where he was a completely different player, where he was making rash challenges, giving away penalties, potentially a red card walking as well, he's put that all to bed now. And he's throwing himself at the ball like he was at the last few minutes of the game, and really making himself that position where that's his own. And again, we've seen it with Salah last time. We've seen it with Traore, where Traore was blasting down towards the centre of the goal, and the way that Chilwell and especially Soyuncu was closing him out, because let's face it, Chilwell's still a skinny, not as well built as nobody's as well built in the Premier League as Traore, as even Mendy saw has been pushed off quite easily. The Mendy from Man City when they got that goal. But overall, the pace that Soyuncu has and the strength, it's such a great combination. If we can keep hold of him for a few years, I think we're going to have a really, really good player. But I think, yeah, Ricardo, again, had a decent performance. Steady Eddie, 7 out of 10. Can't really complain too much. He was trying to make things happen, but Wolves are just a very, very good team and a very well-drilled, decent team. And I think you were going to mention the fact that they've played 14 games more than us as well.
Yeah, so due to Europa commitments, they've played 14 games more than us. And I know just before we had our break, our players looked so tired, which is quite surprising because we're not in Europe. Mm-hmm. We've got no extra kind of activities that are causing that. Whereas Wolves played 14 games more and they're still running at pace. They still look well drilled, as you said. They look really, really fit. even last night, I think Telemans doesn't look as quick as I thought he used to look. He seems to have lost a bit in pace. And maybe that's because he's tired and the rest of them are getting tired. But they've just had 2 weeks off. Yes, some of them took the rest, whereas other ones decided to party for 2 weeks, which has been well documented in the press. Which I'm not sure what Rodgers would have thought to that deep down. I know in the press conference he said he's a young lad, that's fine. But he wanted them to have 2 weeks of pure rest for the last 10 games to get it out there and run at them. Whereas last night, a lot of them seemed a lot off the pace. Stunchu and Evans have never seemed off the pace. Since we started this season, they've both played well together. I know Evans helps Stunchu out quite a lot with his positioning because that's what Evans does. But both of them have not been off the pace. Same with Ricardo. He seems to get quicker every game. Chilwell played a lot better in the second half. There was a moment in the first 10 minutes where the ball came down the wing and he completely ran past the ball. And I thought, oh, God, here we go again. But like we said earlier, second half he played quite well. He did come back a lot better. And I think the back four second half probably kept us in it a little bit. Whereas the midfield was a bit, I think Choudury, let's talk about Choudury.
Yes.
He reminds me, it's funny what you just said, Suyuncu 12 months ago.
Yes.
He's got a red card in him, as we know. Some of his challenges are a bit rough. He's getting better and better. But I think early next season, he will be good. I think he just needs that coaching around his decision making because he does jump in quite a bit. For me, the first yellow card was a bit harsh. I can see why it was given, but you've seen loads of them not given at all. But the second one, yes, he fell over and yes, he's on the way down, but they're counter-attacking. It's a yellow card all day long. So 2 yellows and a red. And I think after that, we kind of just defended.
Yeah, I think that's something that for example, we've got to work on. Sorry, my headphone just come out. Something that we've got to work on with Choudury. And again, he's been getting, you could definitely see the difference between him last season to this season. Before he was flying into challenges, and now he's taking his time a bit more and knowing when to press, knowing when to go and attack. It was just, I think what happened in that instant is that he slipped. Again, it's going to happen from time to time. And that mentality of I've got to win this ball back no matter what, that trying too hard mentality, which is great. We want to see players try hard, but he just threw himself at it and that gave away. But as soon as he knew that, he gave away a card, so it left his team down. I think he'll be quite relieved as well that because his team went down to 10 men because of him and we still kept a clean sheet and kept in the game, it will feel better on his conscience as well, the fact that he didn't lose this game for us. Yeah, so bearing in mind we've got Mendy out with injury, Hamza suspended, and Diddy potentially coming back from an injury. It'll be interesting to see against Man City whether Ndidi will play and what the hell is going to happen there. So I think they might change to a 3 at the back or something like that. Because they need to be...
Let's just touch on that a little bit more. Ndidi, everyone was really surprised when he had a knee operation and came back within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And everyone was surprised at that. I personally think he was rushed back for the Villa game because of Grealish running at him. We didn't win anyway. But I think that we rushed him back for that. And he obviously is injured again. Can you see us rushing him back for Man City? Because, I'll be honest, if he doesn't play, no Mendy, no Choudury, Kevin De Bruyne is going to have an absolute field day, surely. Because we've got no defensive cover. There's someone that can sit from that defence to protect it.
Yeah, I can see that happening. But at the same time, if we lose to Man City, that's not a problem, in my opinion. We're still a mile off. Their manager is like Pep Guardiola to Brendan Rodgers. They are both fantastic managers, but one is an international superstar, will go anywhere in the world and grab a headline manager. Yeah. Ours is they'll grab the headline in UK. If they go to America, they won't know who he is. If you go to Europe, they maybe know who he is. And that's the difference between the style of play, the funding that's available, the stadium, the world-classness of the Man City. So if we go and we lose 4-0 again, okay, that's fine with me because of the situation that we're in. And we shouldn't have, again, as you were saying, shouldn't have rushed him back because that we've just caused more long-term injuries. And indeed, he's a great player and he will be missed. But just with the injuries and the red cards and stuff, we'll have to change on that. Back to the Choudury thing as well. If we give him another year, we will get him playing really decent football. And bearing in mind, looking at a player like Soyuncu, he played, be it in the German league a bit more, and he played the Turkish league before that. He's played first team football for in that the best league in that country. With Choudury, he's not really had that. He's gone to Burton and he's gone to League One and he's built up. This is one of the first times he's played and he's been thrown straight into the Premier League. So he's going to make mistakes. He's going to have those challenges that are not too great. He's going to have this red card that we've seen now. And I'm not too disappointed because he's learned and he's grown game on game. And for example, the situation that happened with him and Chilwell, where they were disciplined and they've learned through that and built through that. And now they're in a position where they're better players. Again, we give it a year and we will have a brilliant player in Choudury. So it's not as simple as comparing Soyuncu to Choudury because of they've not played as many games. And just coming from the Premier League 2 with Leicester City to going to the Premier League 1 is a massive jump. Even though Choudury has definitely took it in his stride at times, we're gonna have this young team, and we've said this again and again. We're going to have mistakes. We're going to have slip-ups. But what the thing is, with the consistency of the manager and the consistency of how we're working this team, in a year, this will be a brilliant side and pushing towards a Man City and a Liverpool. I know that's a lot to say, but we're still in this position now, and we've had a bit of a bad run of form. It doesn't help that other teams aren't as good. Chelsea will be more in it next year. I think Man United will spend money again and try and push up that table, but we're competitive even as we are. And we just need to take these games, which, for example, was a 6 out of 10, which it was yesterday, to an 8 out of 10, which we week on week on week. And again, I think you're saying something you were saying off camera with our defense being brilliant, and then sometimes the attack being there, if that at times, and then coming back. If that consistency comes there, we could be challenging a lot higher. So this is just what we have with young players, and this is something we've got to be patient with. In the same way we were patient with Soyuncu, you give it another year under Kolo Touré training, I think we'll get even better.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think one thing that I've seen this season is we don't really have squad in depth. We have a squad, and some of them are not real Premier League standing. And I know that Brendan Rodgers said the other day he just wants a 25-man squad. He doesn't want a squad of 40 to 50. He just wants a 25-man squad who he can work with, because all competitions now only want a 25-man squad. So if you're not in the 25-man squad, what do you do with these players? You ship them out on loan, etc. So I think he wants to get rid of some of the what we would call deadwood because they're not playing. But that's easier said than done, because they're all on massive contracts, and it's difficult to do. But I think our players will get better. I hope we keep hold of everyone, and then next season we need to build that squad, because currently we've got a great 11 but no squad. The likes of Liverpool's, the Chelsea's have got an amazing 11 and a great squad, such as we saw this week. Chelsea have bought Ziyech, amazing signing.
Yeah.
I know all the Leicester fans were disappointed because they wanted him here, but Chelsea's always going to be a bigger club than us, size-wise, money-wise, and that's where he wants to go. And also Frank Lampard seems to be doing quite well with the youth there. He seems to be bringing them on, just like we are doing. So I think as far as the game yesterday, I thought played well. Choudury, again, yes, was great. He will get better and better. I think he's an amazing player. His decision-making just lets him down sometimes, but that can be coached. We've said this before. I know that we've tried to coach that into Gray, but that's not got anywhere. But I think Soyuncu's decision-making's got a lot better. Chilwell's got better. Ricardo's has got better. And that's been coached. And the same with Choudury. The decision-making will get a lot better. And he will be an England international. That's not.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think when it comes to players like Perez, this is where I'm starting to go, can this be coached? Because it's not the fact that he's a bad player. It's just that we touched on earlier, he's not playing in the right position. He needs to play as that. He's that third striker if somebody gets injured. Him and Nacho work so well together up front. but you've got to play both of them in a 4-4-2 or 3-5-2, and them two supporting each other. So playing him out on that wing, he's not a Barnes or he's not a Mahrez where he can really create and do something with.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that needs to be coached. Again, Barnes is somebody that's really been coached and get the best out of. I agree that some of the deadwood needs to go. I think Albrighton did an okay job yesterday, but I can see him, even though at the beginning of the season I was like, no, he always gets 10 out of 10. I think it's when you pointed out at the Brentford game that he didn't quite hit them levels. He was consistent, but the 7 is slowly going down to a 6, which should probably go down to a 5 by the end of the year, but will he still be a great squad player to take? We'll have to see. But it's surprising what you said as well, with Wolves playing 14 games more than us, and then they're looking sharper. Also, we've had a couple of games like the West Ham game, West Ham game and the Brentford game where we've rested and we've completely rotated the squad. And Wolves haven't had the ability to do that. They work the same. They have a small squad. They know what they're doing with. That they're going to stay around this. The main squad is going to play whatever, and that may be down to training or coaching. We'll have to see. But overall, yeah, to bring it back full circle. I think this result was good. It's a result we needed to stay in this position because Wolves are very, very good side, and I think with performances like this, it just kind of secures into that top 4 position, and hopefully we'll be able to get Champions League next year, because we're just slowly getting there. Even if we're grinding out results, it may not be pretty, it may not make the top match of the day facts or number 1 match of the day, but it's what we need just to grind it out to the end of the year when players aren't playing too well. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, totally agree. Just my final thoughts are, yes, we've got Man City next, which obviously we'll be covering on the Sunday as usual. If we lose that, even if we lose it 6-7-0, it don't matter.
Yeah,
it's Man City or Man City. They've just been chucked out of 2 European competitions. That's going to annoy all the Man City players. So the next few games, I probably expect Man City to hammer a few teams. Going past that, we've then got 8 games left.
Yeah,
so we've got a few difficult games, but we've got the Norwiches, the Villas of this world, where you can get the points. I think 4 wins, and that's secured us Champions League position. I don't think we'll be seeded very high, which may mean when we get to the group stages, we may get a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, but Messi down at the King Power, why not?
As you do, as if you would have said that 10 years ago, they would have gone, what's he doing? Is he just coming down for a holiday or something?
Yeah.
So we've got to kind of bear that in perspective of how far we've come as well, which I think is a good place to end on as well. So I'd like to thank you very much, James. It's been a brilliant roll on the Man City game, and we'll speak to everybody next Sunday.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.